gets his balls back in this week's episode of Dragon Ball Super. Get ready for a lot of nostalgia, my friends, because Goku and Krillin do battle with the greatest villains in Dragon Ball history, and for some odd reason, Bulma as well. No, seriously, why the hell was Bulma a part of the evil apparitions that were attacking Goku and Krillin? I mean, is it because she's such an epic bitch? Is it because she's always been kind of a dick to Krillin? Like, what's the reasoning behind that? Well, the point is, this week's episode of Dragon Ball Super was definitely okay at best. What I will say is, I really wish Krillin would have watched Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, because he would have known how to actually take on the evils of the Forest of Terror. That's actually not like poking fun at the name of the forest, that's the actual name of the location that they're at. The Forest of Terror. And essentially when you go in there, your ki or your energy is going to fuel your greatest fears and transform them into objects which will attack you. Case in point, all of the Dragon Ball villains returning. And last week we got to see a lot of them pop up, but even more appeared in this episode right here. Even a few other classic villains showed up, although I still think there were a few missing in action that I would like to see, like Zarbon, Dodoria, Kui, or maybe even some people from the Red Ribbon Army. I think that would have been a lot of fun. Hell, this could have been their first excuse to turn Emperor Pilaf into an actual threat. Then again, that's probably too damn hard, but really there is a secret to defeating all of these apparitions, and basically it's just controlling your energy, not being afraid, and punching shit in the face really damn hard and then hitting them with a Kamehameha blast. I will say though, this episode was really cool because we finally got to see the return of the Quinto Un, otherwise more popularly known as the Flying Nimbus. I honestly think it's one of the most, like, classic images from the Dragon Ball series, is Goku actually riding around on the Flying Nimbus. And when he figures out the trick to fighting these things, he calls him because he doesn't want to bring any more villains out so that he can fly around and try and find Krillin. And through going through the School of Hard Knocks and dealing with a lot of Friezas that have some really bad character design, Krillin actually manages to outsmart them, control his energy, and bring the pain. The episode ends with Goku being trapped by Super Shenron for some reason. It just appears from out of nowhere, and it captures both Goku and the Flying Nimbus. And since Goku can't power up because he's afraid he'll kill the freaking Cloud, Krillin just decides to show up, save the day, they finish it off with a Super Kamehameha wave, and Krillin has gotten his freaking cojones back. That's really the whole episode right there. Just an excuse to make Krillin learn it's all about controlling your mind, your body, your ki energy, and not giving in to your greatest fears. I was hoping for a little bit more from this episode, especially during the interactions between Tambourine and Krillin, because Tambourine was the first character in the series to actually kill Krillin, and with Frieza being there as well, they could have done a lot with it. It also really sucks that a lot of the villains don't have any dialogue whatsoever. I mean, I'm guessing that this episode was on a shoestring budget, and they didn't want to have to shell out the cash for all of those old voice actors. It would have just been really nice to actually hear those guys again. So, yeah, the episode just ends with Krillin being super happy, ready to go back into being a martial artist again. I do love that they shave his head at the end. I think that's very classic. It's great to see that form of Krillin again. Master Roshi and Baba get their legendary pot, and that's pretty much the end of the episode. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of Dragon Ball Super? I don't have much more to say about this one. I do have one complaint though. The animation and artwork in this episode just sucked. It was just terrible, especially the artwork. A lot of the villains just frankly looked really weird. The scene with all of the multiple Friezas, like, I don't know how they got that many Frieza faces wrong all at once. Like, who is the editor? Who is looking over this shit? I mean, yes, this is technically like a filler episode before we get to the next arc of the series, and the preview for the next one shows that it's going to have way better animation, but we're just going to have to wait and see. I'm just glad that we're finally getting ready to move ahead in this arc, but really, I think this one could have just been done a lot better. Ultimately, it's just an average episode of Dragon Ball Super, and that's a shame because it was bringing in all of the classic villains from the series, and I think they could have had more fun with that. As it was just basically watching a lot of still images and moving mouths. Just, that's it. So, I hate being Mr. Negative, but I just didn't really like this episode all that much. It did have a lot of nostalgia attached to it, but for me personally, it just didn't do that much for me. It was basically just a cool way to waste about 22 minutes. So if you must check out this week's episode of Dragon Ball Super, please do. Otherwise, you can actually kind of just skip this one and infer the fact that Krillin got his balls back. Simple as that. I'm going to give this episode right here a 2 out of 5. I hate to do it because Krillin is one of my favorite characters from the series, but I can't lie, this episode just didn't really do it for me. But if you are a Dragon Ball fan, check out this week's episode. You might get to see some of your favorite villains return, you might get a few chuckles, you might like seeing Krillin do some pretty badass stuff, but ultimately nothing all that special going on in this episode. But next week's episode is one that I think everybody should tune in for when the next arc begins, the Universe Survival Arc, the ultimate tournament between all of the universes in the Dragon Ball series. Let's get excited for that one, guys. It's going to be an exciting time to be a Dragon Ball fan then. That's it. That's my thoughts on this episode. If any of you did watch it, make sure to tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below. I didn't like this episode, but did you? Did you not like it? And what do you hope to see from the next upcoming arc in the series? Please tell me in the comments section. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for all the latest Dragon Ball Super videos, as well as a lot of reviews on all their anime series. Make sure to leave me a comment or two. I would absolutely love to interact with you guys, the viewers, and especially if you like this video, please give it a like. I'll see you next time, and as always, stay dandy, baby.